update, though. A high school student from Miramar, Florida, who's on the debate team, calling out the National Speech and Debate Association. She's claiming she was censored.
Sophomore Briana Whatley saying a judge at a recent tournament warned her not to bring up former President Trump because it would be, quote, inappropriate. This after James Fishback, the founder of another professional debate group called Incubate Debate, says the national watchdog has been taken over by a woke ideology. Well, both join us now. That's Briana Whatley, they're a high school debater, and James Fishback, founder of the Incubate Debate. We appreciate that for coming on. Briana, this has national interest here, especially as we look at how things play out in our schools with children, with students, with teenagers like yourself. Talk to us about what happened if you know why the judge deemed Trump inappropriate. How did that play out? Was there an explanation for that?
You know, it's a mystery to me. It was a debate about President Biden's foreign policy track record, and she told me it was inappropriate to mention President Trump. There's actually another judge in the National Speech and Debate Association that states if you make anti-Black arguments, he has the right to reserve to end the round. Does that mean if I were to make an argument for police funding that I'm suddenly anti-Black? It's dangerous when judges are allowed to make these ambiguous terms and be able to penalize students like myself for making arguments that doesn't coincide with their personal ideology.
That is really wild. Yeah. The fact what you are saying is really even almost hard to believe, because you've got, diverse thoughts that everyone should be allowed to talk about using our First Amendment right. You would think high school debaters would want to highlight that and how wonderful it is to have these rights as Americans. James, the NSDA did put out a statement, so we'll read it for our viewers to get everyone caught up. Judging paradigms allows students to adapt to a wide diversity of ideological views from thousands of volunteer judges across the world. However, on each and every ballot, we ask all judges to reflect and remove bias and unfair feedback. Do you think that was accurately applied in Briana's case? James?
No, it wasn't. The National Speech and Debate Association was an incredible organization. It changed my life to be a part of high school debate. I've written now 2 articles that quote directly from judges who judge for the NSDA from their online paradigm profiles. And these judges say things along the lines of, quote, if you make an argument pro-Israel, pro-capitalism, I will not vote for you, you will lose. If you're white and you make arguments that affect other races, you will lose. So it's one thing for the NSDA to have its rules. It's another thing for them to then enforce those rules. They had an opportunity here, remove and denounce these biased judges, and they chose not to do it. And that speaks volumes.
Pretty wild. Again, the 45th president of the United States not allowed to bring that up, essentially erasing history. Do you get to pick and choose which presidents you can bring up, which administrations you can and cannot do, especially at a time, again, during a pandemic that happened in 100 years, in a century? There's a lot to talk about there. Briana, I want to go back to you. The Supreme Court has recently taken up a case on affirmative action, still awaiting an outcome, opinions on that. Talking about affirmative action, was that a topic you were allowed to bring up during the debate?
So what I was mentioning was a topic that the NSDA released, and it states, how does race-based affirmative action benefit Black Americans? But the way the question is posed, you can't challenge the idea that affirmative action could be a detriment. There's also another question, a resolution to ban oppressive voter ID laws. You notice the way the question is posed. The NSDA has already asserted their narrative in that debate by stating that voter ID laws are oppressive, and that's the problem. Now you're not allowing students to have a full, true, open debate that has 2 sides.
Right. Absolutely. The phrasing of the question is clear in the bias. Calling voter IDs, the fact that you have to show a driver's license is oppressive, or that one race would be incapable of getting a driver's license. Clearly, there's bias within the question there. James, to you, if you could maybe expand on clearly the impact high school debates has on even forming, the next generation. We see presidential candidates step up to the debate stage. What can you learn from this opportunity to participate in a group like this?
Oh, it's a tremendous opportunity. High school debate allows you to listen to perspectives you may not have encountered at home or at school. That was true for me. And, you know, even if it doesn't change your beliefs, a lot of the times it didn't change my beliefs on important issues like the issue of life. What it did was it allowed me to be firm in my convictions, to stand up against the state champion or national champions and defend my beliefs with evidence, with reasoning, with logic. That was an incredible skill set. It's the reason why Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, Justice Gorsuch, Justice Alito have all participated in this activity. You know, I think Vivek Ramaswamy put it best. The best ideas win when no ideas are censored. We've got to bring free speech back to high school debate. The stakes could not be higher.
You know, you think about adults, and obviously you think about a debate that's coming up in August here with the presidential primary with Republicans, respective Republicans there, that will happen on the adult stage. But you think about our high schoolers, and Briana, I think about you, and I wonder, what does this do in terms of, you know, you being deterred from debating again? Does this make you want to pull back, or does this only light a fire in you to push forward?
Right. I'd like to challenge these judges by presenting my arguments that I'd like. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be penalized for it because I'm not conforming. You know, I've heard criticism that as a debater, you have to adapt to your audience. But adapting to your audience and conforming to your judge are two different things, and I won't stand for it.
Yeah, it puts you in a really unfortunate situation. You shouldn't have to go through that. You should just be able to debate on your own arguments and not feel censored what you want to have to say.
And let your opponent push back, by the way.
Absolutely. Who's going to make the best argument?
Yeah.
We appreciate you both coming on. Thanks for speaking about this topic. I'm intrigued. I want to find out more about these high school debates. It sounds like really something positive for people to get involved in. Briana Whatley and James Fishback, thanks so much.
My pleasure.
All right, take care, guys.